SWF.
It's Friday, May 17th, Saturday, May 18th, if you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, but you got to wait probably another week, if that, because the Gavinator is rebuilding the site right now. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to his YouTube channel and subscribe today. You know, we've talked a lot over the last year and a half about the To the Stars Academy and whether or not Tom DeLonge and his group of UFO nuts are taking the high road or the low road to Disclosureville. They have their critics. I admit there are certain things I have not been a fan of, but many are very supportive. Even fewer have got to talk and interview members of the TTSA. Why? Some, like me, believe they've dodged a lot of media. George Knapp even said that on his show. Mike Damante is one of them who has spoken with members of TTSA. Mike is a journalist, author, and a teacher. He is the author of books Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers, and Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy. Oh, I got to hear about that. Mike is currently a journalism and English teacher in Houston, Texas, former employee of the Houston Chronicle. Yes, this guy is a true journalist, unlike the fake ones out there. His website, punkrockufo.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the news from the SOR Newswire. Mike Damante, pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. I've wanted to do this one for a while, and I'm glad we're finally doing it. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, great. Thank you so much. That was a perfect introduction. I feel like I should have wrote that down and, you transcribe that for my next book or something, or for the About Me section on my website. That was great. Thank you.
Well, I added a word here or there. I broke it down. I think I added about 6 words, but nonetheless, we try and make you look pretty when you're coming on in, my friend. We try and do that. I mean, you're not a guy who's rocking a lot of facial hair, so we have to try and pretty you up somehow.
That's funny.
Mike, you've always been a journalist. There are very few journalists in the field of ufology. What attracted you to this field?
So I've always had a thirst, I guess, for trying to get to the bottom of something or trying to figure out the unknown. Ever since I was a kid, I always was questioning things and, trying to find answers and asking why. And so naturally that kind of led me to the career of journalism. In terms of like UFOs and the unknown and cryptozoology at a young age, every month I would get these books in the mail. My mom got like a subscription service for Time Life. And every month, Time Life magazine would put out these hardcover books, and each month was a different topic, but they were all around kind of this supernatural umbrella. And like one month would be the UFO phenomenon, next month would be like mysterious places, strange creatures. Like they all had that aesthetic, and I just as a kid, I was just drawn to them. The stories that were in these books, the pictures, the photographs, like. It was it was obviously there was some truth to some of these stories, but there was also this element to it that really triggered my imagination as well. So, at a really young age, that's when I kind of was interested in these topics.
So you were a sci-fi geek growing up, but you're a hockey fan as well, so you can't be that bad of a guy. Especially if you want to travel on up here to visit Canuckville, where we know losing very well in British Columbia. We do.
And I'll be sure to wear my New York Rangers jersey because I'm from New York, so I'll wear my Mark Messier jersey.
We're over that. It's not that one that hurts. It's a Messier in the Canucks jersey that still hurts. But,
well played.
Right? That's the one that hurts. But nonetheless, I appreciate the fact that you have that journalism background, because in the realm of ufology, there is not a lot of journalists out there. You and I would be one of the very few. There's maybe a total of 10 who literally have journalism backgrounds, if that number. What's your thoughts on all of these people out there that are stealing titles of the careers that we earned?
It's weird. It's hard because, like, with ufology, even the term ufology is almost a made up term. Like ufologist, it's like it's not a real thing. No one really goes to school to study UFOs. So it's really weird how people in the field could consider themselves all these titles. And there are some really good journalists in this field who don't have proper journalism backgrounds, and they do really good work. And there's others who just say, "Oh, I'm a UFO journalist," or "I'm a ufologist," or "I do this." It comes. There was a time when blogs became a thing, and it's basically anyone who had a blog could say that they're a journalist. So I would consider, like, a lot of the stuff that people in ufology do. It's almost like citizen journalism. You know what I mean? Because it's not like the quote unquote like professional. And I'll admit, like, some of them do a really good job of not having that background, but still kind of learning what to do it the right way. And then there's others who have no idea kind of, what it takes to kind of write stories a certain way or interview people a certain way. For me, I've been doing this for so long. I think I have a pretty good way to filter what I want to run and what I don't. I always think as a journalist, it's always good to give people the opportunity to tell their story, and then people can judge from there. But I think I've had a pretty good job of vetting which stories to run and which stories not to run, and as well. So I don't take offense to all of the people claiming that title, but in general, I think there's. Like, I'm not trying to sound bitter because I've been passed up for some of my gigs for some people who may not have the journalism background as I have. And even recently, I've been trying to get an advance to something, and the network's playing hardball with me, while other colleagues of mine have gotten it, and I'm like, I'm way more credentialed than them, and they've gotten this advance, the screener that I've been waiting to see, and it's like, you can't help but feel a little salty and frustrated, but at the same time, we're all kind of working towards the same goal. We all can't be George Knapp, unfortunately. I wish, because he's, kind of, George Knapp and like Leslie Keane and Ralph Blumenthal, those are some of the more mainstream journalists who cover those topics. So.
The way I look at it, and this is, my audience is probably rolling their eyes at me because they've heard it so many times. When George Knapp comes on this show, and I asked him point blank about that, and that was a question I know he really, really wanted to answer. You can even sense his frustration in the fact that, there's a huge difference between professional journalism and citizen journalism. Mm-hmm. Why not just use the title you are? Granted, you don't need a journalism degree in order to be a journalist. Some people just have it. It's much like some people are just talented in other directions. I think we can both agree on that. But for the most part, if we did that with any other career, whether it's, say, impersonating a police officer, a firefighter, a lawyer, a judge, a soldier, the stolen valid card would be played right off the bat with good justice. You know what I'm saying? Yet when it comes to the career of journalism, a lot of these people, like you said, are getting these opportunities because these television shows or these radio programs or these conferences that are out there aren't doing the homework and doing their part and checking the resume to see how legit these people really are. And to me, that hurts the entire field. Not because I'm not being invited, I am, but more so because we're trying to bring credibility. And if we keep lying about our credentials, there's no credibility to that.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. And I definitely see that point as well. And I think that kind of goes on the people who are holding these conferences, or there's people that are in charge of the sensitive material of not doing their due diligence. But it's funny, like when I was at the Chronicle, I covered concerts, right? And to go to a concert, to cover a show or to interview a band, you don't just show up and say, "Oh, I work so and so. Here's my press pass." No, you have to go through the proper avenues. You have to get press and credentials, all that approved. And it should be the same way in terms of, the ufology. But, the thing is, I don't mind anyone calling themselves a UFO researcher, because there's technically everyone in this field of researchers. And, some of the best ones are people who don't have a research degree or, any scientific degrees. And a lot of them just really dedicate so much of their free time and money and resources. And I tip my hat to them for sure. But I definitely sense your frustration with the whole the journalism title, because it definitely holds some integrity to it. And I don't know, like, it just feels like in ufology there's so many terms that are thrown around, and it's just. But like the thing is, like, when they find out, oh hey, you have a journalism background, they're always more. What's what I'm looking for? Let me put it this way. The better programs are more geared towards the people with the proper journalism backgrounds, because it automatically lends credibility. When I was on Coast to Coast with George Knapp, I remember the last segment of the show. It was 4 a.m. I was dead, and he had a really good point, and he picked up on this because he has a journalism background, and he was talking about the last chapter in my book, True Believers. And it's titled Call to Action. And he even says to me, he goes, so Mike, in your last chapter, you almost take off your journalism hat here and kind of are being persuasive. And I was so impressed that he picked up on that, because it was written in a very persuasive manner, that last chapter. And I'm like, see, there's a guy that gets that. That chapter was obviously written in a persuasive, less objective manner. And he was able to pick up on that because he had that background.
And that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to go. And if you have that understanding and that experience, you could do it. I think with George, when he was on this show and we talked about it, and I've talked to other people about this as well, the one thing that we do very well is shoot ourselves in the foot, because we think that if we don't title ourselves, that we're not going to get noticed. And this is all about being noticed in this field, one way or another. And when you take a look at it, you being a journalism instructor, you being a student, you have your way that you teach your students on how to do things. And what that is probably, and I'm just guessing here, but it's be upfront. Don't BS about who you are. Try and make sure that you have the ability to stay and write that story or broadcast that story down the middle. You're not left, you're not right, you're the referee. Use your referee stripes. And yet, when you don't have training in those sections, that's where you get yourself into trouble. And that's what the citizen journalists don't understand when they're self-titling themselves into a career that they know nothing about.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that as well. And I think what makes it even harder, not even just for, I don't want to say amateur, quote-unquote amateur journalists, but even the people with journalism backgrounds in this field, it's so hard to do a UFO story with proper balance without having the backing of a company and having all this free time. Like, for example, if you do a story, a witness story of a UFO, someone who witnesses something, that's all you have is the witness testimony. For me, it'd be really hard, since I have a full-time job, to actually go out there and try to track down the sheriff of my police department to try to get a statement. So a lot of times, you kind of have to go with what you have. Some of the larger outlets like the New York Times, obviously, Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal, they have the resources, they have the editors backing that, they can actually take their time and do their due diligence and try to, not only interview, people who witness UFOs, but maybe get someone in the government to comment on it as well. So they have that advantage that a lot of us don't have in terms of just time and resources. But even then, I mean, they don't have that much, compared to other big stories. I always tell when I'm teaching my students, you try to, a good story needs to have balance. If you're doing a story about a company that's polluting, or like, there's a toxic waste dump, you're going to interview the people who it affects, absolutely, and they should probably also interview the company, get their side of the story as well. So try to tell both sides.
Do you talk to your students about UFOs?
Yeah, young people are really into this topic. It's really surprising that a lot of them are pretty well versed and they want to know more. They're very open minded. So as soon as they find out, some of them kind of make jokes, but a lot of them generally want to know more. Which I think, part of it's part of pop culture. It's on their T-shirts and it's on their band merchandise, the bands they like, and it's on their skateboards. So at a really young age, they've kind of been indoctrinated to UFOs and cute aliens. So yeah, they're into it.
Do you forewarn your students who say want to cover this topic, maybe on a mainstream level, once they graduate and start getting jobs in newsrooms? Do you forewarn them that a lot of news directors are still quite fickle about this topic?
I've really warned them. Like, I never ask students, say, hey, I want to be a UFO journalist one day. But I do tell them the challenges that some stories and stories like these face. The fact that, a lot of times they're interested in these stories, but then there's no follow-up. I have a good story to share to you. You'll really appreciate this. So my last year I was at the Chronicle. I was doing a lot of the stuff on their website. I was part of their web team, and Eric Berger was our science writer, and that name should be familiar. He's pretty well respected science journalist, and he was the one who To the Stars threw a fit over because he put something false in his story. It was that guy. I used to work with him, and he was always a really good reporter, a little smug, but ultimately, he really did his job well. So one day he was tweeting about Bigfoot, about there was like a poll that said the majority of Americans believe in Bigfoot, and he was like mocking it. So I started tweeting at him, basically he's sitting like 10 feet from me in the office. So it was just funny, we're having this little back and forth, Twitter war. And then one of our higher ups took notice of it. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. Here I am, just this, kid, going after this, big name reporter at the paper. But they said, hey, Google Hangout is like this new thing. We want to try it out. Why don't we have you guys debate live on Google Hangout about Bigfoot? And I was all for it. I was like, this is really cool. And Eric was kind of like, eh. So, but eventually, they pulled his teeth and we did it. And I just remember, it was actually going pretty well. And the very last shot of it, one of my bosses at the time, who was this, I don't even know how to describe him, but he shows up in the background wearing a monkey suit. And he's trying to mimic a Bigfoot sighting in the background. So it's you have to deal with that. The fact that me and Mr. Berger were having this really good, intelligent discussion about the possibility of a Bigfoot. And they have to throw in that little campiness at the end. So that's the type of things that I think for a while these topics faced in terms of mainstream journalism. But I think slowly that's going away.
See, up here, outside of the few stories, which is usually the annual review that Chris Rutkowski puts out for Canadian journalism, newsrooms around here really aren't interested in the story. They think it's a waste of time. They think it's a waste of copy, a waste of space, a waste of seconds. Dead air means more to them than a UFO story. And I know in a lot of places in the United States, it's pretty much the same as well. But with this new crop of journalists coming up that you see that seem to be a little bit more open-minded to the subject and want to know more, that only bodes well for this subject moving forward within the journalism community. Maybe not at the national level for all of these giant corporations that are force feeding what can and cannot be said on the air, but for the local stations, the town stations, I think that serves well.
Yeah, it's weird because it's a double-edged sword, because I always tell people, newsrooms and websites and TV stations, at the end of the day, they're still a for-profit. They're ran by a big corporation, or they're still for profit. So if something clicks, if people are clicking on a UFO story, they're more likely to run it. But they're also then more likely to run a story about a celebrity's nip slip, because it's clicking as well. So you have So you have the demand being driven by kind of clicks and ratings and hits and all those things, which bodes well for UFOs, because those stories actually do perform pretty well on websites and rating wise. But at the same time, though, then it's going to compete with what did Beyonce wear at Coachella? People are going to be clicking on that too, or the top 10 worst foods to eat. You know what I mean? So it's weird. It's a double-edged sword in terms of what UFO stories are competing with.
We only have about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. punkrockandufos.com is his website. We're going to find in that tie at the bottom of the hour when we come back from break. But Mike, sticking with journalism for the last couple of minutes here, where do you see it going right now in its current state in ufology? Good, bad? Are we missing the boat on the story?
In terms of ufology, I think it's getting better, just because there's a lot of prominent filmmakers and a lot of prominent journalists that are willing to put their neck out on the line to run these stories. When I interviewed Ralph Blumenthal, when he did him and Leslie Kean did the Pentagon UFO story, I did like a behind-the-scenes story on that story and his approach, and it was great just to see a very old-school guy like him, an old-school journalist, basically how he vetted the To the Stars Pentagon story, and I think that was refreshing to not only see that story hit, but see other stories come after that, and just to see all these other outlets are slowly picking up on it. So, every day, even if it's the same story being shared, you're seeing more outlets running that same story. I think that's a good thing, that these stories are getting play. Hopefully, more professional journalists take notice and want to cover them as well. So it's not just the same handful of mainstream journalists covering it.
Well, the good part is it's starting to make some headwaves, and the only thing we can hope is that it doesn't lose its momentum. That's the big thing right there. Yeah. Momentum is everything, and hopefully it will continue. Mike, I'm going to ask you to hold on here if you don't mind, because we're about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Tell you, we got a good guest tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about music, To the Stars, how it all breaks down. Journalist Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You also want to go to his website, punkrockandufos.com. He's got a couple books out there you're going to want to check out, and make sure you do. Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers. Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy. Go check them out. You'll like him. He's got a good beard going on. Little tight. Could use some growth at the bottom. We'll work on him while you listen to these messages right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app. from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Every night on Space Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, This is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Here we go. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for coming along for the ride this long weekend up here in Canada. See you Americans down there, you don't get to celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday. Being part of the monarchy has its privileges, so we get a long weekend up here in the Great White North. But we're still happy to be a part of your weekend. Remember, if you've missed part of this show and others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And our website currently under construction, and we are underway pretty quick. In the next few days, the Gavinator will launch the brand new SOR website, so stay tuned for that. Tonight, speaking of cool websites, punkrockandufos.com. Mike Damante is our guest tonight. He has a couple of books out. Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers, Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology, and, oh my goodness, I just lost the title. Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy. There we go. Mike, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Thanks for having me.
I got to tell you, man, there is so much when it comes to music and weird things like UFOs, paranormal, cryptids, more so UFOs, aliens. When did you start to notice the blend between the artistry of music and maybe some of the lyrics that singers and artists use and UFOs?
Like the synergy in terms of like the subject matter, or
even the lyrical matter.
It's funny. In my first book, actually both of the books, I did a little playlist in the back, like suggested listening and kind of songs about this topic. And it's cool. Like, there's obviously punk rock songs. Or Ramones wrote a song about UFOs. Screeching Weasel did a song. Blink-182, Aliens Exist. So it was always like UFO references in punk rock and pop punk music, and but even like hip hop. Like Nas has this song. I forgot the name of it, but it's in my first book, and it's really cool. It's really a well thought out book about kind of like about like the universe. So it's really cool to see these themes show up in popular culture and songs, and I think it's the artistic mind lends to this subject as well. So I think that's why a lot of musicians are open-minded to this topic. I just think these creative and imaginative minds are drawn to it as well, or interested by it.
Is there any songs that stick out for you outside of maybe Rob Zombie's new UFO song that came out in the last year that really pushed the limits about ET contact that caught you off guard? Mine is Sammy Hagar when he was with Van Halen with Love Walks In. That one absolutely blows my mind because Sammy has later come out and said that he has written songs about a female humanoid that visited him back in the 70s and 80s.
Wow. Now I'm interested to go check out those lyrics. But the name of the Nas song is called "We're Not Alone." That's what it is, the hip hop song. And then that was in the playlist in my first book. And I'm actually looking through them right now because off the top of my head I can't recall. But so I'm looking through. And then there's also what else? There's an Angels and Airwaves song called "Behold a Pale Horse," which kind of talks about the end of the world and a lot of biblical references, which is pretty cool too. But yeah, the Nas song, Nas, "We're Not Alone." It's a really eloquent hip hop song about kind of like why we aren't alone in the universe. So that's one that first time I heard it, I was like, this is really cool because you don't see that a lot in hip hop as well. So yeah, that's definitely one that stands out.
Artistry and music has always been something that kind of blends together because, as my buddy Jamie always tells me, he goes, musicians are different dudes. They really are. They're different people. They think a different way. When you started looking into it and combining and even getting to know Tom DeLonge a little bit, I'm assuming that you actually got to notice this a little bit, that musicians usually are operating on a different, deeper plane than most writers out there.
Yeah, it's almost like the good ones. The approach, the good musicians and the good songwriters, the way they approach songs, they either do it where they're writing a song that has a specific meaning, or they write it where it's open to interpretation. And I think a lot of the really good songwriters write songs that are open to interpretation, where it can mean different things to different people. And then that means more people can kind of get an emotional response or reaction to it. So I really like songwriters that do that, but it also keeps you guessing. But like, you want to know. I'm like, I want to know what the song's about. You know, I like that you have my own theories, but once again, that's like the journalist in me or the little rebellious kid. It's like, give me the answer. Give me the answer. What is it? You know, what is this song about?
For sure. I'm still surprised that you didn't know about Sammy Hagar.
I did not know about that.
Oh, yeah, you got to look into that. You totally have to look into it. It's actually kind of cool. My friend, one of the people that you have got to know over the years through covering music and covering the scene of ufology is Tom DeLonge. He has become sort of a mystery man of sorts in regards to everybody knows who he is, everybody knows his face, everybody knows his love for this topic of ufology and the creation of the To the Stars Academy. However, a lot of people don't know why he is so into this. When you have talked with him, both when he was in Blink 182, Angels and Airwaves, now at To the Stars, what kind of a guy is he?
So I've interviewed Tom when he with Blink and with Angels and Airwaves, and I mean, first of all, Blink's probably one of my favorite bands. I mean, they're the band that got me, and that was like the gateway drug to like punk rock music, and it was really cool to see that one of your musical heroes growing up is into UFOs too. You know, the first time I heard this song, Aliens Exist, I was like, this is awesome. And a lot of people don't realize this, but he's been into this stuff forever. And I have a lot of really cool stories regarding meeting Tom and interviewing him. Obviously, growing up, like I said, I was a big fan in college and of Blink and Tom and his work, and so being able to interview him multiple times, meeting him in person was definitely some of my early professional goals. As a music journalist at the Houston Chronicle and at the University of Houston newspaper that I was working at the time as well. And a lot of people, I think, in ufology, when he first started the To the Stars Academy, the research thing, they were very skeptical, which, I understand that. You need to be objective and definitely have that skepticism and objectivity and, question everything. I understand that. But at the end of the day, Tom's from my experience with him, he's a good dude, and I think his effort is genuine. I really think he wants to do his best to try to get this topic out there to as many people as possible. He wants to try to use his platform and his voice. It's funny, in one of the interviews with him recently, he was saying something like, when he was meeting these government officials, it just shows you how out of touch some of these people are, these older government officials, like thinking that, because Tom was selling him this idea is like, hey, I'm going to get kids into science. I'm going to get kids into UFOs. And it's like, kids don't really listen to Blink, nowadays. It's like people in their 30s like me who grew up on Blink. So I always thought that was kind of funny. But just like I said, he's a guy with a lot of resources and he has a lot of passion. Yeah, he's nice. He's a nice guy too. And people think that, I remember when they first announced the To the Stars stuff, I got into this. I actually blocked a fellow ufologist because we were going back and forth on Twitter about this. And she was saying that his goal was to get rich off UFOs by selling T-shirts, which was the most absurd thing I ever heard. Because Tom he can retire right now and never work a day in his life and be fine financially. So I just remember some of those more absurd claims. I know they were crazy when this first came out, but no, like I have a lot of specific stories about just Tom, how he treats his fans, how he treats people. The first time I ever met him was before I actually even did journalism. I was at an Angels and Airwaves show, and I was just talking to a guitar tech, and he was really cool, and he saw I had like a Blink tattoo, and he's like, hey, you want to go backstage and meet the band? And I was like, oh, of course I do. And I remember, waiting to meet the band, and, at the time it was, dream come true because, my favorite band growing up, and Tom came up to me and he looked at my tattoos and he ignored my Blink tattoo. He's like, oh man, that's a really cool Alkaline Trio tattoo, which is now ironic because Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio was replaced him in Blink. And I just remember that he was really cool. And I just remember sitting on the floor and him and his manager were on the couch, and he was just trying to entertain me, like just not just talking. He was like air drumming and really nice guy. And then years after that, when I interviewed him backstage at an Angel Airwave show, just really welcoming, really friendly. And I met him other times after that, and he probably really doesn't remember me because he's, been interviewed by and meets millions of people all the time. So, good guy. I think his heart's in the right place. I think the To the Stars operation needs to grow a little bit more, and I think they're slowly moving towards that.
There is a big, big push towards trying to bring out something good towards To the Stars. There's a lot of people who believe they are doing incredible work that has never been done before, especially with the advent of social media helping out the push. But there are a lot of critics out there who are kind of holding back on everything, saying, let's just wait and see what they bring, because to this date, we've seen it with Dr. Stephen Greer, we've seen it with Robert Bigelow, and the same members that Tom DeLonge seems to have on his team. What makes this so different this time around comparatively to what everybody else has done, in your opinion?
I think I definitely see those criticisms and those parallels, absolutely. But what I see is different is the fact that, number one, people are talking about it. They're getting mainstream media involved. They're getting the story out there again. And the ball is rolling. I mean, there's TV shows, there's films planned, there's more stories coming out. I think that's a positive aspect of it. And I say to a lot of the detractors, worst case scenario, if y'all get this, we get this 6-episode miniseries that reveals some footage that's never been seen before, great. I don't think they ever promised, disclosure or, giving everyone what they want right away. I don't think it's going to be perfect. I don't think it's going to be what everyone expects. But, hey, I think we need to be patient. Like I said, worst case scenario, if we get some more, official videos released, cool. I know Tom has these grandiose plans of eventually making To the Stars an aerospace company and all these other crazy ideas that could come to fruition. But he's very ambitious, and he's kind of made his career off people telling him you can't do something and then him doing it. So we'll see. I think people need to be patient. A lot of people want it to fail. A lot of people want it to succeed. But I just think right now, people are talking about UFOs, so they've kind of got the conversation pushed to the mainstream a little bit. And not only that, it's staying there. It hasn't really gone away since the initial Pentagon UFO story. So I think that's a good thing.
Why do you think so many people want To the Stars Academy to fail?
I don't know. It's weird. I've noticed that the UFO community is very jaded. And I remember I interviewed a really controversial figure in Rich Doty, and he quoted to me Phil Glass quote saying the UFO community does more to discredit themselves than I ever could. And I was like, he's absolutely right. I mean, just, being in some of the Facebook groups and, on Twitter and social media, it's just very toxic. It can be very toxic at times. I mean, that's with anything, but specifically ufology, it's really weird just to see, I mean, there's obviously a culture clash. I think there's, between the younger researchers and some of the older ones. But there, it's funny. I made a shirt as a joke for my website. It's Disclosure Kids, because I said they were calling a lot of the crowd of people who are big supporters of Grant Cameron. He's really latched on some of the younger researchers, and I kind of made a shirt kind of making a joke off that because I thought it was kind of cool how they're calling a bunch of us Disclosure Kids. So
and the young guns,
or the young guns, and it's just kind of funny. But no, just in general, it's just I don't know. I don't know why they want it to fail. I guess they're jaded, probably because they've seen stuff like this before fail as well. So I get that. But at the same point where I always say this, it's good as a journalist or to question everything. But if it comes to the point where you're questioning everything to the point where you can't distinguish what's real and what's not, or you don't trust anything to begin with, then you're never going to be able to trust anything. You know what I mean? Like, you can't find the answers when you're so jaded and you're so so skeptical. You have to have some point where you open up your mind to the possibilities, and you're patient.
I think that's a fair assessment in regards to the fact that, people do have to open up a little bit and see both sides. I'm not going to get into tonight my issues with them because it's really irrelevant to the conversation. But I do believe that Tom has, at points, along with the To the Stars Academy, has rubbed the field of ufology the wrong way. Not just the people who are researching it, but the experiencers as well, because in their quest to make things happen, they really haven't brought the field in. They've kind of pushed it to the side, in a lot of people's opinion, and just said, we're doing it our way. We don't really care about what you are thinking. So you're either for us or against us. And a lot of people, I think, they caught off guard with that.
I definitely see that point. I don't think it was a conscious thing to say, hey, we're not going to include these people. And the thing is, I think that at some point they're going to have to, just because, To the Stars is a very small operation. People don't understand that. There's the To the Stars and there's the Academy. And the Academy is basically everyone on the website. When you go to the About Me section, everyone's on there. That's the Academy. That's it. Then the actual operation is ran. It's a very small operation in Encinitas, where Tom's office is. There's probably about, I would say, less than. This is just an assumption. Maybe less than 20 employees who work in that building. Tom's publicist handles his stuff, his music, as well as the Academy stuff. That's a lot of work. So I think, it's still, people understand it still operates as a very small independent operation. But I do agree that that some of us probably feel left out. I personally do at some point, because I remember I was trying to get quotes from Tom and some of the people To the Stars for my book, and I couldn't get anything. And I know at that time, that's when things were getting rolled out, and I understand that they couldn't talk. But I never got that, hey, we can't say anything at this moment, so I was kind of left out in the dark. But from what, lately, it seems that they're being a little bit more media friendly. I know they're very selective with who they talk to for a while, which is kind of frustrating, because it was only these really, really big mainstream outlets. So it's kind of like, hey, what about us too? I get that. But I think hopefully through time, they'll eventually start reaching out to, not reaching out, but letting us in. I know Alejandro Rojas has an interview with Elizondo that he's done already, and it just keeps getting pushed back by the Academy. And it's like, well, what is in this that's, so time sensitive, So I'm really curious about that as well. And I know there's TV contracts involved. I get that I as well, but it's a lot of things are being held very close to the chest on their end, and I'm curious, if it has anything to do with the multiple contracts they have with various entertainment and television properties, as well as potential government entities. I don't know, but I do get the frustration that it's like, well, why can't we be involved too?
And I think that alienation is what has caught a lot of people off guard, Mike, because when you look at Tom's team, it's the exact same people as Robert Bigelow's NIDS team or Bass team, whatever team it's going by these days. And we can get into a little bit later, how it all came together, because that is one story I don't really buy, is how it came together. But when you are excluding people who have experienced the trauma, if I can call it that, of the unknown, which is UFOs and or ET abduction, and the big names are kind of casting you aside, I think that's where a lot of people have an issue in this field. I'm not saying it's warranted, but that's the feeling a lot of people have.
Well, I think there's two sides to it. I like how you said alien nation. Was that the pun intended?
I didn't try to.
Bad joke on my end. I get that. But at the same time, though, it almost feels like, well, why are we feeling entitled to be part of this big thing that has very select members to begin with? There's no applications put out to be on that team. It was kind of hand selected by certain people. So I don't think we should feel entitled to have any say in how other company runs. But at the same time, though, they're also wanting to publicly fund it. So if you're going to own shares, you should be able to at least have a say in stuff. I get that. I personally didn't donate because I didn't feel the need to, and also journalistic integrity wouldn't that wouldn't be a good thing to be donating to. But I know they talked to some experiences for sure. Kevin Day is somebody that they talked to from the very start. I knew that Lou and Tom interviewed Kevin Day kind of before anyone else did. I saw the photo circulating like months before. So I know they've been working on a lot of things for a long time that hopefully will be revealed in this television show. So I think it's just a matter of getting, slowly getting to certain people in certain cases. And these are things that they're handpicking in their research. And from my understanding is it seems like the show's going to be really heavily centered around, at least the first couple episodes, the Nimitz encounter and the people who experience stuff as well. So I don't think they're dismissing the experiencer. I think they're just being really select right now with who they're covering and who they're starting with first.
And we'll get into that in the next hour, because coming up in just, 2 weeks' time from tonight will be the premiere of Unidentified, their television show. And I think this is where they're either going to make it or break it with a lot of people. In about 30 seconds, what's your thoughts?
I'm excited. What I've heard from people who saw the first episode, they said it's basically stuff that we already know, but it's done in a very professional manner that people will be able to kind of respect. But I know they've been working on stuff that in this show for years now. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out on camera. Because I know when the Academy first started, Tom was documenting all the stuff on camera. It was originally supposed to be a documentary film. So I'm wondering if this footage is going to show up on the show. That's what I'm looking forward to see if the documentary footage is the show.
Mike, you hold on right there. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking to the Stars Academy. PunkRockandUFOs.com is his website. Make sure you check it on out. He's got a couple of good books there. We'll be back with more right after this.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com. Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy in your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. This weekend, while I am off finding my Zen, my Chi, and Sasquatch, you can tune in to Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa Nicole Thomas, 9:06 Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, you can go to our YouTube channel to find all of our archives. Just type in Spaced Out Radio. It's all right there for you. Just hit that subscribe button. That's all I ask. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What is this? I don't even know how to pronounce this one. Soledad? No, that's wrong. Soledad? I don't know, but the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, currently under construction. The Gavinator's working hard and diligently on it to get it back up and running in the next few days. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking about the To the Stars Academy. What's it all about? Where are we heading with it? Should we trust them? What is their message? His website, punkrockandufos.com. He's also got a couple of books you want to check out. Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers, and Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy. Mike, thank you so much for spending the Friday night with us. Thank you for having me. I'm having a blast. I guess it's Saturday morning now where you are in Texas. But here it's still yesterday for you. So how's tomorrow looking so far? Let's just get that out of the way. Getting up, going to the gym, and then doing wedding stuff. There you go. So. There you go, my friend. In regards to the To the Stars Academy, and in the last little bit of the show, we talked about how you have got to know Tom DeLonge a little bit. He's a man of mystery of sorts in this field. A lot of people, including myself, have been very critical about the fact that the To the Stars Academy has not done a very good job at taking care of the alternative media outside of Coast to Coast AM and maybe the odd show. What's your thoughts on this in regards to the way that they have not been very open or accessible to the media outlets that cover this on a nightly or daily basis? I think at first it was very frustrating, being, quote unquote, us being alternative media, just because we're the ones who actually care about this stuff more than the mainstream media does. And like I said, I was the one who's, I definitely felt that frustration too, trying to get, some quotes from some of their team for my books, considering that I had a working relationship in the past with some of their past publicists who no longer work for them. So, that's frustrating. But at the same time, I guess when the academy was starting and all these things were coming up, I know they were keeping a lot of things highly guarded. They're very selective of who they talk to. I get that to some degree. But I think they're becoming more and more open because they're going to have to be at some point with TV shows and all these other properties coming out. Even on social media, their social media team has done a better job of responding. And they straight up said, Lou's going to be doing interviews soon. And Tom's been doing some small press with alternative press, some music things to promote Angels and Airwaves. So they're talking again. I think, at this point, you almost can't hide anymore from the media, but they are very selective. I think kind of after the Joe Rogan episode, maybe that has something to do with it, which I never really thought was a big a flop as people thought it was. So who knows? It could have been some crisis management from that as well, because I think Tom a lot of times just says stuff, and just people kind of roll with it, or he just says stuff sometimes without fully thinking of the consequences. But I think eventually, hopefully soon, they'll start letting some of us get a crack at even getting advanced copies of the Secret Machines books is like pulling teeth, which you would think would be easy, So I think, like I said, we're getting to the point where I think they're eventually going to start letting us in. Just from what they've been saying on social media and interacting, and I spoke to Alejandro Rojas, who interviewed Lou Elizondo, and I did a story on someone who ran into Lou Elizondo at the To the Star store, and he said he talked to the guy for 45 minutes about UFOs, really nice guy, and he was really open and answered all his questions. And he even bought him and his friend a T-shirt, which was pretty cool of him to do. So I think they have to at some point, start letting more of the quote unquote alternative media in, even if it's sending out a press screener for an episode early, or even if it's in advance of a book. It doesn't have to be a full on interview. It could just be little things like that they can start doing to be more inclusive. I think that would help extend the olive branch a little bit, maybe ease some of that divide that may exist. Well, here's what I have heard from people who are much more on the inside than I am. I heard that on twofold, Lou Elizondo is a very good guy, very good guy. But on the flip side, he knows he can't say everything because of the NDAs that he has signed. He wants to, but he can't. That's his career, his pension, his potential jail time on the line regarding that for national security. But the other thing I heard about Lou is he is actually very troubled by the amount of negativity that his name is associated with in regards to the stars and the field of ufology. He expected a lot more support than what he has got, rather than the vile comments that have been thrown at him. Maybe some people feel it's just, maybe some people feel it's unjust, but it really caught him off guard. Have you heard that as well?
I have, and I've actually seen it. I've seen him comment on it before as well, and I don't think it was coming from like an ego thing, like, oh, I used to work for the Pentagon. Why aren't they buying me? Like, I don't think that was. I think he's somebody who was never involved in the field, so I don't think he's knowledgeable to certain cases and as well. So I think he's somebody. Imagine coming into something, being like detached from it, what I mean? But being interested in investigating it from a professional standpoint, but then getting out of that profession and saying, oh, hey, look, guys, I'm here. This is, what I'm going to try to do. And you're met with all these skeptical eyes like, oh, we've seen it before. You're just an information agent. You're for the government. We can't trust you. And so, yeah, I get that. I get why he would feel that way. And, I just think it's because he's somebody who wasn't previously a UFO quote-unquote researcher, He was just somebody who was interested in getting to the bottom of it from a professional standpoint. And now he has this academy, he's partnered up with all these people that, have all these credentials, and they're getting, crapped on by some people in ufology. So, yeah. And yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and defend the people involved in ufology regarding this. But on the flip side, at what point, I asked George Knapp this as well, and he basically said that they have been their own worst enemy. Do you believe that not including the field of ufology or bringing on people to the team, like a Richard Dolan or a Grant Cameron or people like that, has been to the detriment of their popularity?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that for sure. Same time, the people who are on their team were selected for a reason, and I assume at some point it's going to have to expand. But I think that definitely plays into the popularity factor for sure. Even if, like I said, I just think an interview here and there, or a screener here and there, or an advanced copy of something would go a long way. And I think part of it could have been, you're right, maybe those non-disclosure agreements, that certain things he can say. And I think when the academy was being built, that maybe contractually obligated, they couldn't say anything yet, and as well. So I think I'm hoping that's the reason for it. But who knows? So yeah, I could see why that would definitely hurt their initial popularity. But also in general, I mean, a lot of us have seen stuff like this before fail. So I think there's obviously, just skepticism.
So getting back to the way that they have handled the press and lack thereof, okay, a lot of people, especially I have debated, especially, not to throw them under the bus, that's not what I'm saying here, but a number of people from the Young Guns who are very, very supportive of the To the Stars Academy. And for people who are wondering who the Young Guns are, it's a bunch of people who've come together. They're new in the field of ufology, bright young minds, some interesting and incredible writers, and people who are getting a lot of really cool information out there. But I have debated this point, and I know Dr. Diana Pasulka agreed, George Knapp agreed, and others that basically believe that the way that the To the Stars Academy has denied the media requests of especially the alternative media outside of Coast to Coast AM, that they have really, really tried to control a media narrative here on who gets the message, who doesn't. Because many believe that they are actually dodging the hard questions, knowing that the mainstream media has never wanted this story. They have always ignored it or made fun of it. What's your thoughts?
I think you're right to a degree. I don't think they're dodging the mainstream media, or they're dodging us for the hard questions. I think they are, though, trying to control the media narrative. And I'm not saying that any of the journalists who they're going to are doing publicity or PR for them. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. They want these stories to be big, so they want it to be. They want to go to the New York Times. They want to go to George Knapp. They want to go to Leslie Kean. They want to go to these big outlets. They want to go to Politico, Washington Post. They want to see their stories, get these get these headlines in these big publications. They want this mainstream coverage. They want Chris Mellon to go on Tucker Carlson. That's what they want. And yeah, I think that's how they want to control the narrative, in the beginning. At the same time, though, I'm hoping it's not like they think they're above quote unquote alternative media, where it's like they don't want to sully their reputation by going on, punkrockandufos.com or going on your show or anything like that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping it's not like a snobbery thing. I'm just hoping they want to just try to get it as big as possible.
Understandable. And let's face it, most of these shows, like mine, they can't compete with Fox News. They can't compete with Coast to Coast on the numbers scale. However, you still have to get the message out. Mm-hmm. You can't be denying one for the other. And the one thing that I do believe, and we can agree to disagree on this, I don't think they want to answer a lot of tough questions with this. Whereas they know whether they're going on with Tucker Carlson or any other major news outlet who is not as educated in this subject, what do we all do as journalists when we either don't know or don't like a subject? We ask softball questions. That's what we do to get out of it. And it's much easier to answer softball questions than it is to answer the tough questions as to why did you hold a press conference without any press there when they announced it to the Stars Academy. Those are questions that people want to know. People want to know, Lou, who paid you between 2012 and 2017? That's the questions that our audience wants to know. And we can't get that answer.
Absolutely. And I think it's eventually, they're going to have to start answering those questions, because Lou is starting to make Elizondo is starting to make their rounds doing the conferences. I know he just did the one in, was it Alabama, I think? And then him and Tom did the one in Rome. So I think they're slowly starting to make these presentations and slowly making themselves more visible. I just feel like for the past year, there was something holding them back, whether it was I don't know. I don't know if it was a contractual thing, or I don't know if it was we only want to push it to mainstream media, or it's like, hey, maybe they didn't have everything figured out yet in terms of what was happening, what was going on, so they didn't want to kind of go out and give the wrong answers and then look bad after the fact. I don't know. But I do agree that I think it's a good sign that we see Elizondo out there starting to make more appearances. But I do agree that, hey, we're the ones who are passionate about this, and we're going to be able to give y'all the good questions that, Tucker Carlson won't be able to do.
But that also leads to the question about why. And my sources have told me, and I'm curious what your sources told you, that when Tom went on Joe Rogan, showed a couple of fake UFO videos that he claimed were real, talked about taking his private parts and flashing them on camera. I have had 3 different people tell me that members of the To the Stars Academy were so unimpressed with that they were ready to walk away. And there was a lot of apologies coming from the DeLonge camp to this team of professionals to keep them on board. Otherwise, this whole thing would have fallen apart before it really got going.
Yeah. I heard little things like that. So not people threatening to walk out, but I just heard it wasn't obviously very well received in terms of the public's perception of it. And I think it was for just kind of I don't think it was as bad as people said it was, but I can understand if you used to work for Skunk Works or the CIA, and but at the same time, I would assume that they knew Tom's personality by now and how he is in environments, and how he's at the end of the day, he's still the same person, that he always was, and he's still going to crack jokes, and but I get maybe that's why. I mean, as you look after Joe Rogan, they basically, all media kind of went dark for a while. No one from To the Stars was really talking anything after that. So that, I mean, we're just speculating, but that could possibly have been something like, hey, let's scale back, because even though Joe Rogan is a celebrity and he's a popular guy, I would consider his podcast alternative media to some degree, just because of the subject matter that he has. So that could have been a reason why a lot of us aren't, alternative media is not getting paid attention because of that program.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Mike, we got about 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Do you believe then that To the Stars at this point has a make or break coming with the alternative and mainstream media, depending on what happens in the 6 episodes of Unidentified?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, because I know they have other stuff in the pipeline as well. I think I think a lot of people already have their minds made up either way. So it's going to be hard to sway some of those naysayers. But at the same time, though, worst case, if the show provides a what's I'm looking for, if it is able to tell some of these stories that we're already aware of, like the Nimitz UFO, or they're able to get some of these other stories out that in a way that engages a mainstream audience and gets them interested, then that's a win in my book.
What's a loss?
That's a tough one. What's a loss? How do you define a loss? Potentially, maybe losing, let's say if the show doesn't do well, and then one of the production companies pulls the plug on the Secret Machines potential movie, or TBS says, "Ooh, you know what? We don't want to do the Strange Times fictional series now." Then I think that would be a loss, because I know Tom specifically is really banking on those other properties.
Well, we're going to have to see about that, because I think when it comes to the television show, I think that people in the field of ufology who follow it closely are going to be disappointed. But on the flip side, I do not think for a second that Unidentified has anything to do with the field of ufology, and it's about introducing these videos, once again, back into the mainstream. So I think it's a real catch-22 here, because I think they're going to get absolutely eaten alive by people in the alternative media and in the field of ufology, because they're not going to bring out too much new. But on the flip side, on the mainstream side, they are going to be able to introduce so many more people to the videos that have never seen it, because UFO television right now is extremely high ratings, into the millions.
Yeah, absolutely. And from little tidbits or little things I heard, is there will be some new things revealed in some of these shows. Who knows if it's anything big? It could just be a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there, but hopefully, we aren't greedy over it. Hopefully we appreciate whatever, if it's something new, cool.
Does it matter?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that they've been, the Adams Resource Project has been collecting data, and they've been shooting footage for a long time. So there should be something to show for it. I'm not saying it needs to be something game changing or mind blowing, but it's just something fresh. I think a lot of us would really appreciate it.
Well, we will soon find out, because it launches on May 31st. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got him for another hour. We're going to continue talking UFOs, To the Stars Academy, Unidentified, and so much more. Mike's website, if you want to check it out and check out his books, is punkrockandufos.com. punkrockandufos.com. Make sure you check it on out. More Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Glad to have you along for the ride. Hey, Canadian listeners, make sure you have a great long weekend celebrating Victoria Day. And in the U.S., you enjoy going to work on Monday because we're not up here. It's just the way it is. We are not. We're taking the day off. Celebrate the old queen who left us over 100 years ago or something like that. We'll take it. We'll take it. Hey, I want to remind all of you that our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, has all of our archives for free. So if you've missed part of this show or others, you can always check it on out. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for our website, spacedoutradio.com, currently under construction. The Gavinator's working hard on it to get it up and running. So give us a few more days, and it will be looking bigger and better all for you. Our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, Mike Damante. He is a journalism instructor in Houston, Texas, very big into the field of ufology. His website, punkrockandufos.com. When you go there, you can pick up his books, Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers, and Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy. So make sure you check that on out. Mike, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. Great questions so far. This is awesome.
Hey, right before the break, we were talking about the TTSA's new show, Unidentified, about the idea that they are probably going to be trying to get more of that mainstream audience than caring about bringing out new information for the field of ufology, those who are following us in this field. If this is successful in the mainstream eyes, what do you think happens next?
If it's successful in the mainstream eyes, I think what happens next, it's really hard to call because even though this is going to be on a large network, the stories previously have been on large networks and large outlets. At the same time, though, think about all the stuff that this is competing with right now in the news. We have, in America right now, we have almost a constitutional crisis happening daily in our country. And I'm not trying to get political because I know this isn't a political show. But it's going to have a lot to compete with in terms of headlines. 2020, we have an election coming up in America as well. So we have all these huge news stories that affect a lot of people. That the Pentagon UFO stories and stars, whatever's revealed from that, is going to be competing with. So I think that's a detriment will be a detriment to the efforts of the Academy as well. So it's going to be really hard. And one of the points I make in my book is disclosure really doesn't mean anything if people don't care. Unless a UFO flies in the White House, flies in the lawn of the White House and aliens get out, it's going to take a lot to kind of garner the full attention of mainstream audiences, and there's other barriers as well, and that's something I talk about in the book, is how people have they have jobs, they have families, they have other concerns, they have so many other things to not invest into the mysteries of the world and universe.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to ask you next as a follow-up is why do you think the mainstream is having such a hard time accepting this story at face value? I mean, even look at the New York Times. When you go back to the December 17th or the December 16th article, there was no follow-up.
Yeah,
I know Blumenthal and Kane wanted to do a follow-up on that, and they were told no, even though the newspaper had sold almost as many copies as it did during its 9/11 papers that were published. It was the highest growing paper since 9/11. You'd think they'd want to, just on a business side, take that on a little bit more and sell some papers, but apparently they didn't.
And I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, that would be a no-brainer to me. So, hey, let's follow up with this story. I just think I don't think it's like a media conspiracy to kind of to bury these stories. I don't think that's it. I think it's just the fact that more people need to care. Even though obviously the numbers are good, I think for these stories, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the secret program existed. Okay, cool. Here's a video of some of Navy pilots encountering an unidentified object, and they don't know what it is. All right, wow, this is a good story. And then without a follow up, it just kind of doesn't die; it just kind of goes away. So I definitely think more of a follow up would have helped as well. And I think more the fact that things are being spaced out. Hey, no pun intended. I think
that works for me.
That To the Stars is spacing a lot of things out. I don't think that's necessarily the best idea, because I feel like a lot of these stories, when they have momentum, you have to keep rolling with it. A lot of times you say, "Oh, wait, be patient. This is coming. And you know what? A lot of this may have to be waiting to get approval to release some of this stuff as well. Hopefully, I assume that's what it is. But it's just like I said, it's hard to compete with so many other things that are going on right now in terms of the news.
Do you think the media, the mainstream that is being forced this story and are scrambling to cover it, or are just kind of like, oh, well, let's give it a few lines and see where it goes? Because the Politico story from 2 weeks ago about the U.S. Navy now allegedly caring about UFO contact. Okay, and if anybody actually bought that story, I've got some deserted land up in Alaska for you that's warm. But the whole point that I'm getting at is these stories keep popping up. They're not going away, yet we still don't see the coverage necessary in order to do that. Why do you think, even with all the information that's out there over the last couple of years, that the mainstream continues to hinder or hide this story?
I don't think it's a concentrated effort to say, hey, we're not going to run this story. A lot of times, like the Politico article, and then I think the St. Louis Dispatch just did one. So a lot of times this is actually a bias technique. It's called mainstream bias, where other news outlets copy what other news outlets are doing. To some extent, it's even aggregating content from other sources. And Politico may say, oh, you know what? Washington Post ran this story. Let's run our own version of it, or let's run a blog post that links to it, or because we don't want to be left out. We don't want to say, we don't want people to say, hey, this Navy UFO story is great. How come you don't have anything on your website? But then again, they're not doing their own original reporting to kind of further the story, which is, I think, is a detriment. So they'll just have, they'll have an aggregation, or they'll have a rehash of someone else's story and just leave it at that. Just to kind of say, oh, well, we have a story now. Up here's the UFO Navy story. We have it on our website. But then there's no original content to continue to push the envelope and push the story forward.
Do you think that's because they don't know where to search for that counterpoint?
No, I don't think that's the case. I just think that they're not investing the resources, or they're not taking the time. From my experience, when I was for example, when I was working at Eastern Chronicle, everything, especially on the web end, we had to get stuff up right away. It was, aggregate this, write a paragraph, and then link to the other site. We need it up right now because all these other sites have it, we don't. Rather than saying, hey, you know what, this is something cool. Let's take our time, and maybe if we have resources, let's do our own version of this, or let's expand on this. And as part of its manpower, and time and resources, that's part of it as well. But part of it's also this, this mainstream bias where this other side has it. We have to have it too. Regardless of whether it's just a rehash of a previous story or not.
One of the points that I have always said to our audience, and I'm curious about that, in regards to the mainstream media covering this entire story, it's very easy when you are given Lou Elizondo and David Fravor. But I think the mainstream media has not done a good job at giving that counterpoint to what is going on, especially with the talents of, the late Stanton Friedman, who we lost this week, Richard Dolan, Grant Cameron, we mentioned them earlier, and people along those lines who could speak, something more down the middle towards it. Do you see that as being part of the fact that they just don't know where to turn with this story? They are absolutely lost in covering it.
I think... Yeah, to some extent, I think they're unaware of the names you mentioned. A lot of mainstream journalists, so they kind of only have to go with what's given to them, and maybe that's why To the Stars was able to kind of control that media narrative at first, because they knew the mainstream media. Obviously, Leslie Kean, George Knapp, and Ralph Blumenthal obviously know their stuff, and they know the other players in the field. But is the random reporter of the Washington Post going to know who Grant Cameron is? Does Tucker Carlson, know who Richard Dolan is? I doubt it.
Larry King did.
Well, Larry King is he does.
He looks like
really
an alien
job.
himself.
Yeah. No matter who's his guest, he always preps for it. He's always very professional. I think that's a mark of a good journalist. Even if you're not into the subject, but to at least prep yourself enough for when you do an interview, you're able to at least, articulate and, give questions that lend to good answers. You know what I mean? Like, he does his due diligence.
Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Punk Rock and UFOs.com is his website. You want to make sure you check that on out. When it comes to the Stars and the fact that even on their website when they first launched, they never mentioned UFOs or UAPs, ATIP, OSAP, whatever you want to call it. The one thing that I will say about them is they have really, really started this entire debate that UFOs doesn't necessarily mean extraterrestrial. And Lou Elizondo has tried to explain this. I still don't understand it. In regards to, if we know that craft is not from here, if we can confirm that craft is not from here, does not mean that there are extraterrestrials sending it here or on that current craft. Well, in my opinion, it's one or the other. Because if it's not man-made, it's made from elsewhere, which makes it alien. What do you think about this new debate in ufology that was literally started by TTSA, that if it's not from here, doesn't mean it's alien?
I think they're trying to leave it open as much as possible, I guess, in terms of being respected by mainstream media and the mainstream in general. I don't think they want to be known as an alien hunting organization. So I think they're very careful with how they word stuff and how they want to be viewed. But I mean, if you take those words intrinsically, if it's not from here, of course, it's technically alien in terms of it's not, of this Earth. But I think they're open to it being anything. But I just think they're very careful with how they word it. I don't think they want to flat out come out and say it at first, because they don't want to be labeled a certain way and potentially discredit maybe some of the work that they may be doing.
Why be embarrassed about the fact that you're hunting aliens?
I agree. I just probably the connotation, but we have to get to the point where we have to say, you know what, screw it. Screw the connotations. Screw it. Other people think this is what we're investigating, and you're either on board or you're not. And more people believe than I think some of these organizations give credit for. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but for those who have had alien contact via having one stand in front of you in the forest, like me, at your window, been abducted, we know they're real. Yeah. Those people know it's real. And to have it, try and broken down and redefined just seems so illogical. And the only way that I have been able to kind of figure it out in my mind, trying to put it together, is that they feel current society, say from the 40-year-olds on up, the majority of 40-year-olds on up, are not ready or have too much religious belief to look at the idea that aliens are here. Whereas the younger 40 and under crowd, up until my children's age and your future children's age, they will be more open, more susceptible to believing that there is life elsewhere. And who knows, by the time they're our ages, we already may have found it.
And that goes to the whole slow disclosure idea that, unfortunately, I think they may have bought that idea, which I disagree with. I think I don't think we need to be spoon-fed, for centuries, slowly, information, to be, if it shatters our history books or perceptions of religions, so be it. I'm really not a fan of the slow drip idea of disclosure, and even that word disclosure, but just, like the confirmation and the revelations. I think, we need to be given more credit as a society. I think that we can accept this stuff.
Well, I do believe, though, that is part of the hindrance, is trying to bring out all of these different beliefs in what it is. If it's alien, it's alien.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
No, I agree. I think since they're trying to be taken seriously as a scientific organization, I think they're going to. That's why I think they're really being really careful with the diction they're using.
Is that to the detriment of what they are doing, or to the UFO society in general?
I don't think it's a detriment. I think it's. I think they're trying to cover their tracks. Because, for example, if I use journalism as an example, if I quote somebody and what they tell me is false, okay, I'm quoting them, so it is on them because that's what they said. That was the source. The source is incorrect. So, that's what they said. That's the quote. So I think what To the Stars is doing is they're being very, very careful, not calling it one thing or another, because they don't want it to. If they're wrong, they don't want to damage the credibility they have. Because, like you said, from the start, they didn't expect the backlash that they received from the start. So I think they're tiptoeing and being very careful. And I think in the long run, that may hinder some stuff, but at the same time, I think they're looking towards bigger picture. I really don't think, the UFO community's concerns are shaping their direction at the moment. So I think they're kind of looking at whatever bigger picture they have.
In your opinion, what is that bigger picture?
I think the bigger picture is some of Tom's grandiose ideas about being an aerospace company and getting these results to some of these metamaterials and actually figuring out where it is and whatever else they have planned. I think those are some of the bigger picture things, and the stuff that they detailed early on that sound like they're years and years away, which may or may not even be attainable. Some of the stuff they want to do, but I think that's their big picture. I don't think they're looking at just a TV show being the end all be all. I think it's all pieces to a larger puzzle that they're putting together.
We got about 2 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, Mike. And in regards to that, though, do you believe then that the To the Stars Academy has the best interests in bringing UFOs to the public rather than interest in just their shareholders?
Yeah, I think they do. I think the messaging needs work. I think that's where, like I said, it's a very, very small operation, even though it has some big name people in it. So I really think the messaging needs to be relayed better. But I think at the end of the day, I think their intentions are ultimately good, because their shareholders right now are just everyday people who are buying stock, and they haven't really done much to really include those people, other than a few circulars that they send out, I think every quarter, that kind of gives them an update of what's going on. But as of right now, currently, I don't think those investors have much say. They just kind of get an overview of, hey, this is what we're working on here.
How do we try and come together then? We got about 45 seconds before we go to break. Is there a way to come together, or is the To the Stars Academy just moved way too forward?
It's hard. I feel like they moved really forward without a lot of us, but at the same time, I think soon they're going to have to start including some more of the, quote-unquote alternative media. I think we come together. I mean, it's impossible to come together as a whole because, like I said, it's so divisive as it is. I think the best thing we can do is just be patient and just go from there. See what happens. Good or bad. Just be patient, just to see the results.
Well, when we come back from break, I am going to ask you about how do people who are not supporting them or are apathetic to it support the To the Stars Academy, and why should they get behind? I think that'll be an interesting discussion I'm looking forward to having with you. We have Mike Damante on for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. We're getting more into UFOs, To the Stars Academy. We'll see where it goes as well. Maybe he'll play a couple of riffs on guitar or kazoo or something for us. I really don't know. Bad news, though, we found out earlier today that Mike actually trimmed his beard and mustache, so he does get demerit points from us and our audience on that. But that's okay. We're going to have him here for another half hour. Mike Damante, our guest. PunkRockandUFOs.com is his website. More Spaced Out Radio with hour number 3 coming up right after this. Oh, yeah, I went there. I went there. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to all of you around the world, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I invite you to stick around spacedoutradio.com for Saturday and Sunday nights where I host Spaced Out Weekend. Let me take you on a wild ride of weird and strange topics, from ghosts and ETs to remote viewing, psychic phenomena, and so much more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time on Spaced Out Weekend, where we own the night.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. This weekend, Tessa Nicole Thomas is back Saturday and Sunday night with the weekend show, 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com. We have a bunch of terrestrial affiliates that we want to say hello to. Our brand new affiliate this week at Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF, AM 1560, KDUN, AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh, I'm struggling with this one. Don't know why. Sodity is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, but you're going to have to wait because the Gavinator is building us a brand new site. It'll be done very, very soon. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He's a journalist. He has a website called punkrockandufos.com where you can find a couple of really cool books. Highly suggest you get them, fans. Punk Rock and UFOs, Cryptozoology Meets Anarchy, and Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers. Mike, thank you so much for going the distance with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Great plugs, too. Thank you. You can write my bio better than I can, so thank you.
Well, you know what? It's because I have a beard. That's the reason why. It's a good beard, and we like to have it with us. But, hey, right before the break, I asked you a question. How do people support the Stars Academy when so many people feel there are games being played?
I think patience. I think just be patient and take it one project at a time. I think Unidentified, let's see how the first episode, let's see how the season goes, the 6-episode mini-series, and then go from there. I'm personally excited for it. I really want to see what they have to offer, what they have to reveal, if there's anything new, and apparently there is. And just see how it's presented, and I think just be patient.
Should we be open-minded?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think we should be open-minded. I get why we should also be skeptical as well. So there has to be a little bit of both. So wait and see.
Mike, I realize that for a lot of people with To the Stars, it is such a controversial topic in regards to this. You're one of the ones who doesn't see it as a controversial group. What are you seeing, and many of your colleagues seeing, that the rest of the people out there are not?
I think what we're seeing is we're looking at it from the perspective that there's a concentrated effort by a group of individuals who, on the surface, left careers, security, certainty to start this company and pursue their goals To the Stars. Tom left one of the biggest groups, in the world. Lou Elizondo left a highly secure job at the Pentagon, so there's obviously risks associated with what they're doing. So obviously they believe in the effort they're doing. So I think we need to look at that. We also need to look at the fact that they have the resources in terms of getting this stuff out to the public as well. So I think those are some positives that maybe some people aren't looking at, and just the fact that I think we're being a little. I think some people are expecting too much, and then when it's not exactly what they want to hear, they get angry or they get disappointed and just dismiss the whole thing. And then I think we're also getting kind of we're spoiled to the fact that we're getting this opportunity to potentially see some of these stories being potentially uncovered or just have more coverage of it. And, there's people who are going to say, oh, well, that's not exactly what I want. It sucks. So I think let's just take it at face value. There's some, whether we know all the motives or not, but there's some important people or people who, had important positions at one time that are trying to do something to, what they say, to hopefully, better mankind. So I think people should just take it as that and go from there.
But in the same breath, does To the Stars Academy deserve to be let off the hook that simple?
No, I think, especially what we were talking about earlier, I think here's the thing. If they fail, they fail. I think they need to be more open to the media, especially, like I said before, alternative media. I think that would definitely help, extend some of the olive branches. But at the end of the day, if their research doesn't turn up, or if it's not, if it's not, it doesn't meet a certain deadline from to meet people's expectations, then it is what it is. At least they tried. So yeah. I mean, you can't. What I would tell some distractors, you can't fault them for at least trying.
How do you think they're getting their information out? There's a lot of debate and discrepancies around that. We saw it recently where George Knapp said on KLAS that the Pentagon was the one that actually released the videos, yet the Pentagon continues to deny this. If the videos are coming out of the Pentagon, somebody has to be releasing them. Lou Elizondo has come out and said the videos that he has in his possession have gone through the proper channels of being released to the public. Mm-hmm. Yet there is still all of this denial going on. Are people just covering their butts, in your opinion, or is there a real government action to keep the UFO secret quiet still while the TTSA does their work?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think here you have a private company that's not, from what we know, not controlled by the government, but they were able to use some of Elizondo's connections to facilitate these releases. So maybe the people who were releasing it to Elizondo wasn't supposed to, and maybe that's part of it as well. It's really hard to tell because we're dealing with these really sensitive materials and video footage. So, and you always hear the argument, oh, well, it's a national security issue, and you hear that all the time. And I mean, we don't work for the government, so we don't know if that's a legitimate excuse or gripe, but. I think it's definitely a little bit of both from what you said earlier. Absolutely.
Should the public be aware of that? Because somebody is letting them go. Even if the main people at the Pentagon do not know about it, somebody is releasing them.
And someone's releasing them for a reason. So, and I think it's important to kind of get to the bottom of exactly what that reason is. And if that person is like a whistleblower or that's somebody who's gotten kind of, permission, but like under the table, like non-official orders. I think that's one of the mysteries here that's really interesting, and it's being heavily debated right now.
Where do you think it stems from?
The debate or where the videos are coming from?
Both.
I don't know. It's hard to answer that because I don't have, obviously we don't have the stake in it where, we don't have the sources that some of these people do. So it's really hard to make a yes or no judgment on in terms of where they're coming from. I think there's documentation that shows they're released by somebody, and I'm not going to get into the semantics because I've been just seeing the debate go on and on about the wordings and things that were redacted, and it's almost to the point where it's like nothing's ever going to be able to get done if we keep having these arguments. And I understand some of them need to be made, but I think we really need to pick our battles in terms of what are we going to scrutinize and stuff inspect, and what we're going to be more open to.
Do you think the public is ready or the government is ready for the public to know?
I think, yes, I think the public's ready. I don't think, with everything going on right now in the U.S., I think it'd be really hard for the government. It'd be really hard to trust this current government with this information as well. Like I said, I'm not trying to get too political because I don't want to go against the rules of the show, but I would really not want this sensitive information being in the hands of this current government. Hopefully, I would trust Canada to take the reins on this one.
Not with our current status. No. Oh, no. But that is the big debate, though, because there's a lot of people out there, outside of being political, who don't believe that the public could handle the truth.
Yeah, and I disagree with that. I know some of the people to the stars kind of buy that slow disclosure idea, which I disagree with. But I also know, you've seen some more high profile, Harry Reid, obviously someone who spoke out recently about there should be more UFO research, and Andrew Yang he's running for president. He says that they probably exist, and he's interested in the topic. And Ralph Blumenthal Senator Richard Blumenthal made some interesting comments during the Space Force hearings, and I've actually reached out to his team. I actually got his press secretary's information, and they've been ignoring me. But I got on the phone with someone from his team, and they said, we'll try to get you a quote, and nothing's really happened. But the fact that I told them who I was and what I was interested in, and they were able to at least give me a contact, shows that they're open-minded enough to do that. So there are people in current positions of power who I think have some saying things, but who knows? Who knows who's really pulling the strings and who can actually, facilitate it? Until we get full congressional hearings and or United Nations hearings, that are broadcast on C-SPAN that we can all see.
We have about 9 minutes left with you tonight. Mike Damante is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking to the stars, UFOs. Have you talked to a lot of experiencers, both pro and con, to the Stars Academy about where they feel ufology should be heading? And if so, what's their opinion?
I think the consensus is ufology needs to go into the direction of the actual experiencers. I've heard many times the researchers are going to start with the experiencers. It's not going to be the nuts and bolts, traditional UFO studies where it's let's test this metal. Let's actually test the people who claim to have been abducted, who've had these sightings, who claim to have these heightened senses. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's delve into consciousness. All these more new agey things that were frowned upon maybe 20 years ago are slowly becoming more acceptable in the study of UFOs. And I've heard that from multiple people as well.
So if you're an experiencer, where do you go for your information? Where do you go to trust people? Because a lot of people out there don't know where to turn. They're a little freaked out by it.
And that's a great question, because a lot of people who are experiencers aren't necessarily researchers, so they don't really have a place to go unless they know someone who's involved in UFOs and UFO studies. So yeah, it almost seems to the point where we're going to have to have some. Trying to think the best way to word is a mainstream conversation about these things. And I think from what I've been hearing, I think that's part of what To the Stars is working on as well, is eventually bringing in more of these, new agey elements to it, which is kind of weird because then they're also distancing themselves from the whole alien, idea as well with the wording. So I think there's definitely two sides to it. I think there's the heavy research side, the progressive research side, and there's also the we want to be really careful with the words we use.
Let me ask you this. If you were running the To the Stars Academy, or they appointed you onto the board as the new president, what would you do to change the internal actions of the TTSA to gain more support from the public, both on the mainstream, but more so in ufology?
Well,
take some time with this one.
Yeah, well, no, I've thought about this before. This is an easy question. It's a good question. It's a really good one. I think first is being more open to all media, as well, not trying to necessarily control narrative, but having that that openness and that transparency. Going on. I'm not saying going on a show every week or doing making all the alternative media rounds, but every once in a while, doing something more than just releasing it's not even a press release at this point, a social media message. I think messaging is really important. I think there needs to be a whole PR team just for the Academy, just for that as well, and dealing with that. I think that would be a huge help. Adding more people to the operations aspect of the staff, because I know, we talked about this earlier. It's hard to have all, to do all these things that they're doing and still being a relatively small independent company. And I know a lot of these things are coming with the contracts they're having with, TV networks that are really helping this, helping the shows and some of the TV properties and movie properties move forward. But I definitely think the operation needs to grow. You definitely have to expand. You have to get more boots on the ground. You have to get more people involved in terms of on the team, not just on the research side, not just on the public relations and media side, just all together. If I feel like, imagine NASA trying to do, go to space with an operation of 6 people,
But if there is safety in numbers and strength in numbers, we've all heard those cliches, you think it would be pretty obvious to get the UFO community backing you, maybe not 100% because you'll never have full solidarity, but at some portion of that, a high portion of that, would it not have been more beneficial to the Stars Academy to focus in on the field of ufology before trying to take on the North American world, mainly the American world?
I agree with that. I just think they're very concentrated on these titles and these positions, and having, no disrespect to us, but do we have the credentials that Jim Semivan has or Hal Puthoff? We don't, and because all that stuff looks really good on paper as well. And this is kind of going back to the argument of journalism. A lot of times we rely heavily on official sources. You see that official title, and you automatically default to that in terms of it being a good source, or hey, this person has this title or had this title, so there's it lends a credibility there. So I think that's kind of what they're going for from the start, is having a select handful of people that had these accolades and these titles that were associated with them to try to give them automatic credibility to mainstream.
We got about 3 minutes left with you tonight. Really want to appreciate it. Do me a favor. Take a couple of minutes here and describe your books for our audience. Let's start out with your book about true believers, punk rock and UFOs, true believers.
So Punk Rock and UFOs, True Believers is a continuation of the first book. It's basically it's a better research and better concentrated effort in terms of the idea that I'm going for. So True Believers looks at, it's kind of like a twofold thing. It looks at I always thought about who are these people that research this? Why do they start researching this? So it's part of it is looking at the people who are actively involved and why they got involved. And another part of the book is why should people be involved? What are some of the barriers that ufology is facing? How do we break those barriers? How do we get more people interested in this subject? And then in addition to that, there's also some kind of expanded theories and as well from the first book. So the second book, True Believers, definitely looks at it goes throughout pop culture, religion, ufology. It just kind of looks at it through all these different lenses, and I was able to talk to different people from academia to ufology to pop culture as well, just to get different perspectives on the mysteries of the universe.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Is there another one coming out?
Someday, I would like to eventually do another Punk Rock and UFOs book. Writing books is, to me, it's not hard. I like writing books. I like writing in general. It's just, you learn, it's one thing to be a journalist and write a news story and, to write concise, and then to actually go out and write a book. My first book, I remember when I wrote it, I was like, oh God, this isn't really that good. And then people are like, oh, we really like it. So, you just kind of have to go with what you're comfortable with sometimes, but, and then breaking out of that comfort zone in your next book. So, definitely I'd like to do a third Punk Rock and UFOs book someday. I think the first two books came out within 2 years of each other. So who knows?
I think you're due. I think you're really due.
Soon, maybe. We'll see.
And you definitely need to get a couple more UFO tattoos.
I have quite a few. I have, how many do I have? Let's see. It's hard to tell from the pictures, but I have one on my leg. I have one on my shoulder. I have at least 3 or 4, I think. I don't know. I'm wearing a tank top right now and I'm looking, but...
Time for another one. Time for another one. Yeah, I'm voting for that. Hey, Mike, I want to say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight, because there are so very few true journalists who are covering this topic in a UFO level, in an alternative level, that I think you're a real bright star in a very dark sky when it comes to covering these stories. And I really hope that you continue to do what you do, my friend.
Thank you so much for the kind words and the opportunity to be on the show. This is probably one of the best interviewing experiences and shows I've been on in terms of professionalism and just the depth of your questioning and just altogether. I'm very grateful being on. Thank you.
We'll definitely do it again. Mike Damante, everybody, his website, punkrockandufos.com. Coming up after the break, we finish off with the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave, so stay tuned as we bring this on home.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. And I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you could go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor and hit that subscribe button. Remember, our website currently under construction. We're going to have it open in just a few days' time, so please stay tuned. Thank you for your patience on that one. Let's get to the weird, the wacky, the WTF, the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, the head scratchers in the news, but sometimes we got some good stuff as well. Captain Shirk puts all of our news together. She works hard doing it, so make sure you check out our Facebook page, the SOR Newswire. Hit that like button if you wouldn't mind. We would appreciate it. Let's start off here. Nashville, Tennessee. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say people who have backyard chickens are likely behind salmonella outbreaks in 21 states. Yes, 5 people have been hospitalized, and about a quarter of the total 52 infected people are under the age of 5. 4 of them live in Tennessee. The CDC's news release says most of the ill people reported having contact with chicks or ducklings, which says were obtained through sources including hatcheries and agricultural stores. The CDC goes on to say people can get sick from touching backyard poultry or their environment. It says sick birds may appear clean with no signs of illness, and people should wash their hands after handling the birds and avoid touching their faces after snuggling them. Oh, they're so cute. They are so cute, but yeah, at least it's not bird flu. That stuff is dangerous, man. My old hometown, there was something like 30 million birds that had to be slaughtered due to bird flu. It was horrible. Horrible in that farming community. Decimated them. But they are cute. I wonder how many of those are from people like walking barefoot in their backyards and walking all over the chicken doo-doo. Because that stuff is potent. You get a little cut on your foot or something like that. Yeah, poo foot is not good. Definitely not good. Hey, in Taipei, Taiwan, some good news for people in general. A new law has passed that has legalized same-sex marriage. It's a first in Asia and a boost for the LGBT rights activists who championed the cause for 2 decades. Legislators pressured by support groups as well as by church organizations opposed to the move Friday approved most of the government-sponsored bill that recognizes same-sex marriage and gives couples many of the tax, insurance, and child custody benefits available to male-female married couples. That makes Taiwan the first place in Asia with a comprehensive law both allowing and laying out terms of same-sex marriage. President Tsai Ing-wen says, on May 17th, 2019, in Taiwan, love won. We took a big step towards true equality and made Taiwan a better country. It's a breakthrough, I have to say so, says Xiao Hongqi, professor of gender studies and communications management at Shizhen University in Taiwan. Thousands of people took to the streets, including same-sex couples and straight couples, to support Parliament about this vote. Many carried rainbow-colored placards saying the vote cannot fail. About 50 opponents sat under a tent outside Parliament, gave speeches favoring marriage between men and women only. But nonetheless, finally, another win for humanity. Moving on here. I don't know if you saw this story, but it was pretty freaky in Riverside, California, where live ammunition from an F-16 Falcon jet that crashed through the roof of a Southern California warehouse was safely destroyed Friday afternoon after miles of closed freeways were reopened afterwards as well. The video that was taken of this shows a big boom and huge clouds of dirt after being buried in trenches at March Air Force Reserve Base. Miles-long stretch of Interstate 215 was reopened and evacuations were canceled for most nearby businesses, although those closest to the warehouse remained off limits. The F-16 crashed Thursday afternoon after the pilot reported hydraulic problems and started losing control of the aircraft. The plane then crashed into a commercial warehouse near the base, which is southeast of Los Angeles. The pilot, thankfully, was able to eject safely before the crash and was in good condition, although his name has not been released. The Air National Guard jet, which remains in the warehouse, was carrying standard armament package of missiles and bombs. However, that's as far as they would go into detail of what was on the plane. There was no explosion from the crash and no serious injuries among workers inside the business. 3 trauma patients remained hospitalized in stable condition. 10 others, including sheriff deputies who entered the warehouse to search for possible victims, were treated for exposure to debris and released. Yeah. I'm still amazed that everybody survived. That is good news. That is good news, especially with that. Very, very good news. Now, let's head to Las Vegas, shall we? Now, we all remember the heinous crime that happened at the MGM Grand with that horrible, horrible shootout. Casino giant MGM Resorts has told federal regulators it may pay up to $800 million to settle liability lawsuits stemming from the 2017 mass shooting that left 58 dead and 800 injured. The company believes it is reasonably possible that a settlement will be reached by next May, it told the Securities and Exchange Commission in a quarterly report. The lawsuits say MGM Resorts, which owns the high-rise hotel and the concert venue across the Strip, of failing to protect the 22,000 people attending the Route 91 Harvest Festival. They also point to findings that gunman Stephen Paddock, 64, was able to build an arsenal of weapons and ammunition in his two-room suite over several days before he opened fire into the crowd below. MGM Resorts International has previously asked federal judges to step in and declare the resort company free from liability in the incident. However, it now appears hundreds of millions have been set aside in anticipation of the lawsuits. However, a lawyer handling mediation talks for plaintiffs calls it premature for the corporate owner of Mandalay Bay Resort to report a possible settlement range between $735 million and $800 million. Attorney Robert Eglett says, "We're not even close to resolving all the terms and issues before we have a settlement." He is representing about 4,200 claimants, including those who have sued Nevada, California, and other states, and people who have not formally filed for damages. "It's true that a settlement is possible," Eglett said, "but I will tell you, it's not probable. Nothing is signed. We have a long way to go before we have an agreement." And that's still an ugly incident. I remember when we were on air reporting on that happening. Absolutely freaked me out. And thank goodness this man was stopped. What a maniac. Sad news from the internet world, if you haven't heard. Grumpy Cat has died. Yeah. Remember that little cat? Always seemed unamused, looking pissed off like a normal cat would. Facial expressions, T-shirts, buttons, websites, commercials, songs. Well, she has died at the age of 7, her owner said. Grumpy Cat's real name was Tartar Sauce, died following complications from a urinary tract infection on Tuesday in Arizona. "We are unimaginably heartbroken," Grumpy Cat's family wrote in a message posted on Twitter on Friday announcing her death to the world. She passed away peacefully at home in the arms of her mommy, Tabitha. Besides being our baby and a cherished member of the family, Grumpy Cat has helped millions of people smile all around the world, even when times were tough, the statement continued. Her spirit will continue to live on through her fans everywhere. Grumpy Cat, whose permanent frown came from being born with dwarfism and an underbite, became an internet sensation in 2012 after a photo of her perpetually annoyed-looking face was posted on Reddit in September of that year. Now, Know Your Meme, the website, who tracks the history of viral moments, reported on this. The image became immediate fodder for creative photoshopping and inspired several memes and gave more than 25,000 upvotes in the first 24 hours. It was a cute cat, even though it always looked angry. Life took off for Grumpy Cat from that point as she became one of the most popular memes in internet history. Also came with appearances on news shows, morning shows, American Idol, The Bachelorette, WWE's Monday Night Raw. She even starred in 2014 Lifetime movie called Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever. She even got her own brand of Friskies. Well, unfortunately, her 9 lives are up. The cat had, by the way, 8.5 million followers, or 1.5 million followers on Twitter, and 8.5 million likes on Facebook. It's more than most people. Finally, we're going to St. Albans, West Virginia, where a man has been charged after he left police in West Virginia on a chase that ended with him crashing his car into a criminal defense lawyer's sign. 34-year-old Ernest Alexander has been charged with fleeing from a police officer and receiving or transferring stolen property. Police say the car chase started in South Charleston with Alexander exceeding 100 miles per hour, or 162 kilometers per hour for you Canadians out there, and nearly hitting 2 adults and a small child as he blew through several stop signs. Authorities say they arrested Alexander in St. Albans during a short foot chase after he drove up on a lawn and plowed over a small sign for a criminal defense lawyer's office. It's unclear if Alexander was actually looking for an attorney. On that note, let's get to the thought of the day, shall we? Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What would you like to see the To the Stars Academy try to accomplish for ufology? I think it's a very, very easy question to answer. Got some interesting answers, though, here. Start off with James. Nothing much. Just the Paul Harvey version of the truth consisting of the facts. That's all. Oh, with honesty being a given. William. Some level of scientific legitimacy to push away from the pseudoscience which is common into the UFO field. The TTSA needs the same thing. Legitimacy. Stephen. Walk out the door and jog on. Barry. Not be another mockumentary show. Chris. They should go to jail for fraud. Well, that's a little tough there, isn't it? That's just a little tough. Gail. Does anyone remember the wizard in The Wizard of Oz? All bluster, bravado, smoke, and mirrors. Enter Tom DeLonge, an entertainer of questionable UFO legitimacy. I would like to see that entire charade of business be closed down, and a return of credibility to all the once reputable people who allowed their names to be used in this scam. Chris. But I thought they already accomplished so much. Catherine. Undeniable physical proof, and to present that proof internationally to the world. Jim. I know at least one of the founders, and if there is any truth to UFO stories, my friend will find it. Kevin. Tom DeLonge is the co-founder and interim CEO of To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. As president of the company's subsidiary, To the Stars, Inc., it is his place to lead his people into the next phase of the undertaking. Just as in 60 AD, the Sicarii rebels, Masada, Israel, were led by Elazar Ben Yair. In his final speech, let our wives be killed before they are abused, and our children before they have tasted slavery. And after we have slain them, let us bestow the glory benefit upon one another mutually. The time has arrived for Mr. DeLonge to set down his axe and give the last instruction to Lewis and the boys. You had more than your 15 minutes of fame, Tom. Wow, Kevin, that's kind of deep. Kind of deep. Jamie. To shut these idiots up with their smirky remarks and, oh, what have they achieved? A lot more than you, Chuckles. Jamie's firing back. Couple of shots there. Uncle Dale and his power stash. How about pay back the money and go away? Guess he's not a fan. Penman. Have they accomplished anything substantive in reality yet? Or are they just being super secretive and working away like Santa's elves? Who the hell knows? I know. We would like to see a series of really cool graphic novels by Tom DeLonge about flying saucers, aliens, and weird stuff. LMAO. Emoji happy face. Francesca. A technology that can clearly zoom in and get close-ups of shots through the windows of the UFOs of existing photos, video, and other future encounters. Also make sure they create protocols that establish friendship, not scared and running and appearing antagonistic or defensive. Anyone legit can create a legitimate legacy of educational factual information. Moving on. Lee. Just quit. I'm serious. What have they done besides release old videos that were already on the internet? What real research have they done? Someone tell me I am wrong, Lee says. As far as I know, they are a bunch of talking heads. Robert, UFOs must be explored through a disciplined field of study that is imparted, planned, and researched in an educational setting. Janine, I'm more interested in what becomes of Stanton's research. That's going to be interesting to watch, by the way. Very interesting to watch. Chris, I just can't wait for them to put Cameron on board. I think he means Grant Cameron. Maybe they could get Joe Firmage, our last night's guest, to become their liaison to the Space Council. Oh, wait, all of that was made up too. Eugene, have they been able to accomplish anything real? They would have long presented it. A game of 3-card Monte they play. Daryl, I would love to see them post live streaming of UFOs. Michelle, yes. And also to stop waffling on certain things like the analysis of metal pieces or debris recovered from crash sites and reveal the results without delays. Oh, don't you wish. Don't you wish. God of Thunder. Canadian Joe, once and for all, cut the BS. No selling shares to build a spaceship or celebrity pitchmen. How about let us see everything they have? Are aliens for real or not? The mainstream needs to see it, or are we still are we still bound by the Brookings Report? Brookings Report, that is. We got some major anger around here. Major anger. Why? Let's see here. A media breakthrough. This is Science is Religion Carl on Twitter, where we see ongoing coverage of the most deserving subject ever known. CBS, NBC, ABC, every goodness gracious form of media should be dominated by this. It will take collective collaboration to crack this. Input from all, not just the scientists. Want to thank Captain Shirk for putting together the SOR Newswire, which she does on a daily basis. We love her for it. And you can find the SOR Newswire on Facebook. Make sure you give our page a like. We'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for hanging on out. We also want to give a big shout out to Mike Damante for coming on the show talking about the To the Stars Academy tonight and about ufology. He's got a great website, punkrockandufos.com. punkrockandufos.com. Check him on out. Guy seems like a lot of fun. Knows what he's doing. He's also a journalism teacher, so he can't be that bad. Hey, this weekend, what are you doing? I know I'm going looking for Sasquatch. How about you? Well, I'm off in the forest finding my Zen, my Chi, and hopefully some signs of Bigfoot. You can tune in to Tessa Nicole Thomas Saturday and Sunday night at spacedoutradio.com. Starting at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. She's going to have a couple of entertaining shows for you as we do this thing 7 days a week. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms this week, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for telling your friends, doing your part, hanging out with us to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you on Monday. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good night.